Well, welcome back. And just before we go on the home stretch, we're taking a look at the crisis within the Actors Guild. Lagos State chapter of Actors Guild of Nigeria held the chairmanship election in June 2013. That was just last month. But the election was disrupted before the votes were counted and announced. Well, the following day, an electoral body, the Board of Trustees, as well as the national president, declared one individual the winner, while the outgoing executive declared another person a winner. Now, we'll take a quick look at this report just before we launch into this conversation with our guest. I will not even venture to tell you who our guest is on this conversation, but first, let's take a look at this report.
The Lagos State chapter of the Actors Guild of Nigeria is still mired in controversy after two different sets of executives emerged from an election disrupted during ballot counting. Days after the election, comedian Victor Oswago was declared chairman by the body's electoral commission, a result adopted by the Guild's Board of Trustees and the national body of the Actors Guild. However, Oswago's counterpart, Don Pedro was declared winner by the outgoing executives of the State Guild, led by actor Emeka Rising at a factional congress, and was sworn into office accordingly. This has now caused the Guild to have two parallel executives.
When you conduct an election and your mandate is stolen, you can just imagine what I was going through, But the State Congress came here today and said, I am the authentic, winner of that election. What they are claiming is not theirs. I won that election square and clear, and the people said it today. The people have adopted me as their chairman.
Victor Oswago, however, maintains that the executives led by Don Pedro Agombi is illegal and labeled its members as fraudulent.
I think the person is contravening the rules of the association. That's what I call somebody working against the progress of Actors Guild of Nigeria Lagos chapter.
Leadership tussle is not a new thing to the Actors Guild of Nigeria at the national or state level. Over the years, there have been stories of Emeka Ike versus Segun Arinze, as well as Ibinabo Fiberesima's showdown with Emeka Rollers, amongst others.
Okay, that being the case, that brings us something close to what happened with the Nigeria Governors Forum. Theirs was not as violent, or almost as violent as that one. But our guest this morning is the person who the outgoing executive had declared the winner as chairman. But Don Pedro Agombi, yes, the anointed of the outgoing executive. Yes. Don Pedro, now let's start with this. Do you think you actually won the election because the results were not openly counted on the day?
Yeah, it was very clear that I won that election.
Why do you think you won?
Now, let me give you a scenario what happened at the election. After the accreditation, we were told by the state AGNEC that there were 141 accredited voters. Now, it came to the counting of the results. And when the results were being counted, they had counted about 45 votes for me. 45 votes counted for me. Now, let me give you an analogy what happened. When they brought out the ballot papers, the voters, and they began to separate them. Mine was here, his was there. I'm glad channels covered it, so if we can see clips of what happened. Now, they saw mine was heap of votes. His was this. And then his supporters, because he brought into the hall lots of thugs, to the
I
venue.
do worry when people make allegations that somebody
wasn't.
got in
Yeah,
thugs.
you
and
just saw
we've
a
seen
clip.
so many, yes.
Yeah, you saw clips just now. I'm
Were
telling
they
you,
thugs or members of the guild who
No.
acted like thugs? Because
I'm
there's a
telling,
difference.
yeah, I'm telling you
it
facts.
is, yes.
You asked the question, so
Yes,
just
that's why
building
I'm
up.
asking the question,
Yeah.
yes.
So my votes were being counted, so my votes were brought, and my supporters had already started jubilating, because when the votes were separated, it was obvious to all that I had won. So my supporters were jubilating already. Now the AGNEC started to count my votes. When they got to 45, the returning officer of Victor held the microphone and said that they were not going to accept me as a winner.
So who was the gentleman that was pushing away the...
Yeah, you saw him now. His name is Gabriel Asiodu, popularly called Soginto.
So who did he represent?
He represented the loser, that's Victor.
Okay. Now let's look at it this way.
I was going to conclude, because
okay,
let me just conclude. Now, he picked up the microphone and said he wasn't going to allow, he wasn't going to accept that I won the election, and that he just heard that I was only 3 years old in the guild. And the AGNEC chairman said, no, this guy is the outgoing state PRO. Before he contested that election.
How long have you been in the...
This is my 11th year in the guild.
11th year as a registered member
of the guild. Yes. And
is there documentation
yes,
to prove this?
There are. I was cleared by the AGNEC. I was cleared by the state AGNEC.
To contest?
To contest.
Okay.
2011, when I contested for the state PRO, I was cleared as well. Now, how can you come and say you were not going to accept, and then you disrupted the election at that point?
Okay.
And then they started to fight, and the police shot tear gas.
Now, I want to believe that there is a procedure for anybody who's unhappy with the result of the election.
True.
The right thing will be, whether you have a tribunal or if there's no tribunal, there's court, or there is a petition committee.
True.
Did you go through those steps?
Yes, I did. When it happened.
Who are the members of the petition committee within?
We don't know them till now. When it happened, what I did was to first of all call a member of the board of trustees. I called the chairman and his vice, and I told them everything.
Board of trustees?
Yes.
Okay.
I called the vice chairman of the board of trustees. I called the chairman first, Presinfa DK, and then I called the vice chairman, Emmanuel Ogugwa, and I explained to them what has happened. And I was told to write a petition to the board, and they were going to look at it. And I did just that. And as we speak, I haven't heard from them.
Okay, based on what is in your constitution, who should normally swear in a new president?
Basically, what happened was